Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Geek Authority. I'm your host, Lorenzo Marchessi, and back again, I get to interview really exciting people, actors, writers, producers, cosplayers, directors, first-time writers, all kinds of wonderful, wonderful people. And today, someone extra special. Her name is Dina Morrone, and let me tell you, she's an actress, she's a writer, she's a producer. She does one-woman shows. She's actually part of the Theater West here, theater, in Los Angeles. And welcome, Dina. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm very excited to be here.
Nice, thank you. So let's start off with yourself. Are you a native Californian? Are you a native? How did you get into?
No, not a native Californian, but I did recently. Well, 4 years ago, I became a U.S. citizen. I'm Italian, Canadian, and now American. My parents are Italian from Calabria in southern Italy. That is the tip of the boot. And so I'm Calabrese, and my parents immigrated to Canada. I'm first generation Canadian. So I was born to two parents who didn't speak English and still don't really speak English well. And so my first language was Italian. I have my Italian passport because I'm an Italian citizen from them. And then they were Italian citizens and then I'm Canadian. And like I said, 4 years ago, I thought I would get my American citizenship.
Wow, an international talent. How exciting. And I too am Italian, so let's stick
Yay!
together.
Where's my Italian flag?
Let's share meatballs. Let's see how they taste. Anyway, so you are definitely into theater. That I can't even tell you how much this young lady is into. So when did you get the theater bug? How did you get into it?
Well, that's a really great question. Thank you. I started doing theater, but I didn't know I was doing theater when I was a little girl in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada, which is where I'm from. It's 4 hours north of Duluth, Minnesota, sort of northeast if you follow Lake Superior. So we were always doing little skits and sketches, and we were putting on these talent shows and these variety shows, my cousins and my sister and myself. And so we put these on and we write little songs and put little things on. It was always about performing. Now, the interesting thing about it is that I was always the one that was the most interested in doing it. Let's put on a show. Let's put on a show. And they would all partake, but it wasn't like they weren't as interested. Although my sister has a great voice and she and my cousin wrote some little songs and they were good, but I was all about putting on these shows.
Now, was this for the family you're talking about? Family?
It was for us. It was just for us. We would put them on, and then we would entertain the grandparents and the parents. My very first time performing is a crazy story. In Thunder Bay, there was an Italian hall, was a huge group of Italians, immigrants. And so they built a community center, like a community hall, and had weddings there and banquets. And we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people were members. And every Christmas they had a Christmas show with Santa Claus. And they had a few kids do some talent, singing or playing their accordion or something, And so my grandfather asked us if we wanted to sing in it. Now, of course, I said yes, but I can't really sing. But my sister, and older than me, she is a better voice, but you have to remember we were like 4 and 5 years old.
Wow.
And so my grandfather was so proud of us. He said, they're going to sing. So we got up on stage and we sang Rudolph in front of like hundreds and hundreds of people in this big hall. And we sang Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and an Italian song that was a Calabrese song. So it was a dialect song about Christmas coming. And remember my sister and I were just looking at each other. We were frozen. It was all these people and we were singing and we were just doing this, looking at each other and then like singing and then looking at each other. And when it was over, they gave us a box of chocolates as we walked off the stage. And I thought, that felt really good. And they gave us a box of chocolates and everybody applauded. That was my very first time performing in front of a live audience.
So at what point in your early life did you actually get on stage or something? Did you say, this is what I want to do for my career?
For as far as doing it for my career, it didn't quite work out that way, because acting in my family was a hobby. You played. It was playing. So at school, I was involved until junior high school. I was involved in plays. I performed on stage. But once I got to high school, it became about career. Oh, I'm going to be an architect, which is what I thought I was going to do. I'm going to be a broadcast journalist. I wanted to be the next Barbara Walters and the next Jane Kennedy, and I wanted to be a sportscaster. So I started interviewing people. I started reading the announcements at school every morning. Good morning, it's da-da-da-da day, and today we have, thinking I was like the big, Barbara Walters. I was very much into sports, so I really thought those were the avenues. It wasn't about the stage at all. It was about being in front of the camera, but doing it as an announcer, as a reporter, as more of a journalist. But because I stopped doing plays, because that wasn't really a career in my family. And so I went all through high school studying to be an architect, which I was never going to be, and doing these things that I was interested in. But all of this involved going away from home, leaving my little town and moving to the big city. And my parents were not going to let me go away. So I had to find plan B. And plan B, I went into business for a year. I thought, well, this isn't working out. I stayed in my hometown. Then my parents thought, well, let her go away. She's miserable. So I went into fashion design. And I didn't even study theater. I went into fashion design so I can design and make clothes and stuff.
How did the architect go into fashion? Were you designing dresses or?
No, I couldn't go. Well, first of all, my dad told me architecture was for men. It was a man's job. So I'm like, okay, well, far where the university was. Then I was modeling. I forgot to mention that. I did perform. I was modeling when I was 16 years old. I joined a modeling school and we did fashion shows all around town. So it was everything. It was evening wear, swimsuits, we did them in the malls. New York was where I thought, oh, I really want to be, in front of the camera. And that wasn't going to work out because I'm only 5'4". And back in the day, if you weren't 5'10" and taller, you couldn't be a model. The whole petite modeling thing came out later. And thankfully now they have petite models, they have oversized plus size models, they have, models that look like real people. There's diversity in modeling now. Everybody's not just like a cookie cutter, So, but at the time, I was already doing that. So that's a part of performing. I was working in a restaurant as a hostess. And at the time, I just graduated from fashion. I really didn't know what I wanted to do because I really didn't want to be behind the camera. I wanted to be in front, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. And I was talking to a server whose brother was a famous actor in Canada who worked in the States as well. And he was acting like every waiter's acting. And so as a hostess, I was surrounded by everybody who was in the arts. And this was just phenomenal for me. Like I had no idea. And people were saying, yeah, what do you do? And I said, nothing, I'm a hostess. And they're like, oh, I'm like, why? What do you do? And they're like, I'm an actor. And I thought actors were on TV, not in restaurants. Like I had no concept coming from where I came from that you could be a working actor and have a part-time job. I didn't get that. I thought you could only be famous and that's it. And so I told a guy in my job that I wanted to be, when I got married and had my children, I was going to put my little girl in figure skating and this and that. And the guy just looked at me and he said, why do you have to wait to have a child to do all those things? Why don't you just do them for yourself? And I went,
and is this in New York?
This is in Toronto. This is in Toronto. And he said to me, here's the name of a casting director. I said, what's a casting director? He said, here's the name of a casting director. Go see her. And I didn't know why, but she lived close to where I did. So I went to her And I waited outside. I had no idea who she was. I knew her name because it was on a piece of paper. And I waited outside this house looking around. And there was some guy showed up. He was probably 50. And then a woman showed up and she was probably 60. And then so, like 3 more people showed up and there was like maybe 30. And I was like 20. And they showed up and they were all waiting for this casting director. And so I waited and they were talking and, oh yeah, I hope she's not grouchy today. I hope she's not in a bad mood today. I hope this, I hope that. And I was hearing all this and I thought, wow, they're professional actors and I haven't even done one thing yet. How is she going to treat me as not being a professional? So she shows up, this woman walks across the parking lot with a dog and she waddles in with an ice cream and she's like, yeah, what are you doing here? Yeah, what are you doing here today? I told you not to come back. And she was not very nice. And she goes, and who are you? And I said, oh, you know, this guy, last name was Kirby. I said, sent me here. And she says, yeah, come on in. So she gets rid of these guys like they were working actors, but the whole thing in Toronto was back in the day. You could drop in on these people and say, hey, how's it going? I just did a movie and I just wanted to, you know, is there anything coming up? And she'd say, yeah, I got something coming up in a month. So I said, she's going to just scream at me. So I said, hi, so-and-so sent me. And here's a couple of pictures. And I had, you know, 4x6 pictures, the little pictures from my camera. And she looked at them and she went, okay, you're going to go see this woman for your headshots. And you're going to go see this agent. And you're going to work on next week. What are you doing Thursday, Friday? And she had a show that she was doing with an American production where they needed special extras, not just the people in the background, but more close up to be, it was some crazy show. Jim Carrey was in it. He was doing his ventriloquist things with Kermit the Frog and stuff. So my very first experience in the world of cinema, not on the stage as a theater performer, but in the world of cinema, I went to this job. I was a special extra. I got booted up to like a bigger role as a secretary in one of the scenes. And I met all these young people around me, swirling around me as extras, actors, and special extras saying, and stunt people saying that they were actors. And I thought, I haven't seen any of them on TV. What do you mean they're actors? And I learned that you could be an actor in that. And so there's the fly. And so I learned that, did you remember I told you there was a fly buzzing around before?
No
anyway,
worries.
So I got into that. And then from that was when I learned about theater and being an artist, which was different than just working on screen. It was more, where's that fly? It's more about learning the craft. And that's how I got it. It all started from something that had nothing to do with the theater.
Right. And I just want to back up a little for people watching. A lot of films and TV shows have, if you watch your scenes and with all your major characters and actors that are in it, they have actors, background artists is what they're generally called, that kind of fill in the scene to make it look like a convention or make it look like a restaurant, make it look like something. Once in a while, you'll see one of these non-speaking roles, you know, drink something, drop something, have an interaction with the major actor, but not say anything. Those are the special bits she refers to. You generally get more money for those bits too, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not only do you get to stand out, but you get a little more money, which is a cool thing. So what brought you, when did you come to LA?
So that's another story. I came to LA to study acting, and because I wanted to work craft, I said, I'm going to work on my craft. So I came out to LA to study, but I didn't have a green card. So my time here was limited. So I studied and I went back to Canada, and I went in to see a casting director, and the casting director said to me, wait, your last name, you're Italian, right? And I said, yes. And she said, well, why don't you try Italy? She was Canadian. She wasn't. She said, I spent a lot of time in Rome, and you're Italian. You should really go to Italy and try working there. There's a whole cinema business, you know, movie business in Italy. So I went to, I got my Italian passport. My parents are Italian. I have Italian citizenship. I applied for my Italian passport. and I got it. But I just wanted to throw one thing in there in between. While I was learning my craft in Toronto and studying, and even before I came to LA, I was attending a lot of theater. I was watching performers and I was studying them. And one of the most magical moments I had was something I had never seen before, which was a one-person show. So this was before I moved to Italy. This was even before I moved to study in LA. And my girlfriend took me to, she was also a girl that worked with me at the restaurant, and she was also an actress. And she said, let's go see this. I know this actor. She had gone to theater school. And I want to go see this actor. And there he was, doing every single character himself. And he just went from one scene to the next. And I just will never be able to do this. Never. So the next thing I did was I bought a book. I was at the theater bookstore in Toronto, which became like my hangout. I would go there and check out all the new plays that were coming in. I was reading plays and devouring them. Every play I could get my hands on, new plays. And one of the guy turned me on to somebody, Dario Fo and Franca Rame. Dario Fo wrote all these one-person shows for his wife, Franca Rame, and they were Italian. And I had no idea who he was. So all of them were one-person shows. And this woman is doing all this stuff by herself. And it was so hard to follow the play because she was doing everything. So in my bedroom, I was trying to reenact these scenes. And I'm like, how does she do it? I had no concept of it. So I pushed that all aside and I went to Italy. Said, I'm going to listen to this casting director. I'm going to move to Rome. I went to Italy, and Italy was a whole other experience of acting. I was acting in films. I was a host.
What year was this? Around what year was this?
This was the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went there, very green. I still hadn't really done a lot of work. And I got hired by Rai Television to be a host on their shows. I did modeling. I worked for these photo romance magazines. You pose, and then they have like the little bubble of dialogue, like it's a form of acting, but it's not. Never imagined I would be doing a one-person show. But then Susan Strasberg came to Italy, and Susan Strasberg is Lee Strasberg's daughter. And at the time, Susan was doing workshops in Italy because she had spent a lot of time working in Italy. So She knew a lot of people. And the first workshop I did with her, the first day, I said who I was. She saw that I spoke fluent Italian and fluent English. And she knew I had studied in Los Angeles at the Loft with Bill Traylor and Peggy Fury like 100 years ago. And she was best friends with them. And she said, like, she just took me under her wing, and she became my mentor. And so I studied with Susan, and it was just an incredible experience to have, 20, 30 pupils in these workshops. And I was her right-hand person. I was finding monologues for her because all those theater books came in handy that I got from the theater bookstore. They were all in Italy with me. And I would call up the theater guy in Toronto and say, send me 10 plays that you think I should read. And he would ship me plays. And so I started working with Susan. She became my mentor. And then I met Federico Fellini, and that changed my life. And then I thought, well, it's time to go to LA. And it was Susan Strasberg who said to me, now that you've got all this experience, you should really go to Los Angeles now that you've got all of this under your belt. You don't want to wait till you're old to go to LA. You really should go. And so I thought, I don't really want to. I love Italy. I had a great time there. I was working. I was doing what I love to do. I was not doing theater in Italy. So I got to Los Angeles, and every time I would meet somebody, whether it was through an audition, whether it was through an interview for something, or whether it was a dinner party or just out somewhere, someone would we'd start talking, and people would say, so what are you up to? And I didn't really have any work under my belt here. So I would say things like, I would start talking about Italy and what I did there. You have great stories. Have you ever thought of doing a one-person show? And I said, no, I don't want to do a one-person show. I want to work in movies. I want to be a film actress. I want to work, on a TV series. Next dinner, story. Next, it was the same thing. And I thought, wow, people keep telling me this when they hear me tell my stories. I had no concept of how to put on a one-person show. And that's when I decided, I was here for maybe not even a year, and I got involved with a theater company at that worked out of the Odyssey Theater called West End. And that was that was my sort of introduction to it. And then
are we in the 90s now? Is that where we are?
Oh, yes, we're in the late 90s. And we're in the late 90s. And then I joined Theater West in 2001, I think, 2000. It was just after 9/11 that I joined Theater West.
So Susan Strasberg is the one who actually encouraged you to go to LA. She was still in Italy.
She was back and forth. Susan was back and forth in LA and Italy and San Francisco.
Yeah, because I know several actors I've talked to have worked with Susan. So I thought she was here, but I guess she went back and forth.
She was living here, and then she would go to Italy. She had quite a career in Italy and did these wonderful works for a month. They were not just like a weekend. They were a full-time 5 days a week for a month. They were super intensive workshops with actors. A lot of great work.
When did Theater West come into the picture?
That was about 2001, 2002. And I joined Theater West, and it's just been incredible because that's how I started workshopping. The beautiful thing about Theater West is that we're a workshop company, as well as we do produce shows, but we're a workshop company. So we have actors workshop on Monday night, writers workshop on Tuesday night. We have musical comedy on Wednesday night, and then we have Shakespeare on Thursday.
Wow.
And then we have children's theater, our Storybook Theater productions on Saturday. And we also have an associates program that comes in on Saturday mornings before Storybook.
Yeah, and I've been reviewing shows at Theater West for years, and the broad range spectrum of good original plays and classic plays. And I got to tell you, I've never enjoyed children's theater more than at Theater West, as far as that goes. A lot of good actors, good talent. You can tell the enthusiasm is there. In fact, isn't the children's theater one of the major writers? Isn't it? What's his name?
Lloyd Schwartz.
Lloyd Schwartz, yes.
And his wife, Barbara Mallory Schwartz, they created this Storybook Theater about 36 years ago. It's almost 37. And they created it for a need because they had their own child that they, thought, they had children, and they put together Storybook Theater. It's been running all these years. Lloyd writes these shows, Barbara and Lloyd direct, produce. They get the people involved. They're an incredible operation and been for Theater West.
Let me tell you, Lloyd is funny. He's charming, very smart and witty with the dialogue in terms of his productions. I haven't seen him in a long time because obviously theater's been shut down for a while. But yeah.
The last production they did that closed early because of the pandemic was The Adventures of Peter Rabbit. And that one actually was written by, it was a collaboration, but Anthony Grucuso, who's also a performer in a lot of the Storybook shows, Anthony was also involved in that as far as the writing, and Lloyd does the music. And
he's another amazing actor, let me tell you. Cracks me up. Okay, so now let's do a little segue here. Now you're involved with the Theater West on a more operational standpoint. So how did that come about?
Yes, about 3 years ago, almost 3.5 years ago now, I was elected onto the board and of artistic. We have an artistic board. How our company works is that we have one person sort of managing the theater, the managing director, and then we have an artistic board. The artistic board functions as the artistic directors of the theater. But we also do everything else. We are involved in pretty much everything. So I got on the board, and this whole pandemic has been quite an eye-opener because we've been also working as the managing director of the theater, the 7 artistic board members. So we've learned. We've learned a lot. Let's just say that. But one of the nice things about being on the artistic board is you get to weigh in on what happens at Theater West artistically. And it's a,
is it collaborative now? Is it very collaborative?
it is, it's collaborative. But people are, the thing about our company that we stress to people is you're only going to get out of it what you put into it. We are not a theater company that produces 8 shows a year and you wait around to audition for those 8 shows and see if you get cast in one. We are, like I said earlier, a workshop. So we invite people to create. We like that you bring in your own work on a Monday night in the Actors Workshop. We like that you write stuff and bring it in to read. We like that you attend Shakespeare, even if you're not a Shakespeare actor, but you get to workshop and learn. Musical comedy, I've been encouraged by Anthony to go to musical comedy. I have not gone because I cannot sing. And even though he says he's singing out of me, I would not embarrass myself.
Is that true? Can you really not sing?
I really cannot sing.
I
really cannot sing. I'm a voiceover artist. I do voiceover.
Okay.
And so I work with my voice, but as a voiceover. I can do, I do video games, I do announcer, commercials, narration, but I can't sing. But people think because I do voiceover, I'm a singer.
Wow. How exciting. Okay, a little segue here. If you notice, I changed my background a little.
Hey,
this is her website. That's her, which one? This is her headshot. This is from a show. And we're going to look at some of your productions. Let's start with this. Tell us about this headshot.
I'll tell you about this headshot. There was, all my pictures are very glamorous. A lot of my pictures, because that's what they expect you to be. You have blonde hair and you look a certain way and they expect you to be glamorous. And so I have, all the headshots are glamorous and they look glamorous. And I was at a dinner and someone said to me, you know who you look a lot like? Frances McDormand.
Now that you say that, yes.
And I said, oh, like you want somebody to, you know what I mean? Like, and Frances is such a brilliant actress that it was like the biggest compliment ever.
Absolutely. So, Academy Award winner.
Yes. So I said, oh, I said, you know what? That's funny. I was all decked out. I had makeup on, my hair. It was an evening and they said I looked like her.
I love the eyes. Beautiful.
Yeah, they're very like,
Did you do wardrobe changes with this or no?
I did 3 different looks.
Okay.
And this was one of them with this plaid shirt. Right. Very Frances McDormand.
Yeah.
There's like my beauty mark there and my bags under my eyes and my wrinkles and everything. And I have a funny thing. I write on the back of my programs when I do my solo show. I'm very proud of it. It says, this show was performed for your viewing pleasure by using a 100% Botox-free face. So, because if you see something moving on my face, do not be alarmed. It's just my wrinkles. And there's another glamorous shot of me.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
This was for the Los Angeles Women's Theater Festival.
Okay.
And taken by Martha Benedict, and the profile shot. Very scary.
Oh, nice lighting. Very nice.
Beautiful.
I like the hair. Is that your hair?
That is my hair, yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
it's with curls, so it's made very full. This was at Theater West, the world premiere of my play. And that's Johnny Ferretti in the background, another actor from Theater West. And it was directed by Peter Flood. It is a 12-person play. Moose on the Loose is a comedy about an Italian family and a Canadian moose. And they meet up in Northern Ontario, Canada, about 4 hours north of Duluth, Minnesota.
Different
the Italian in me, yes. The One Woman Show is a young girl who leaves North America, moves to Rome, Italy to pursue a career in cinema, and ends up finds out that it's really not all it was cracked up to be, because she meets a lot of, perverts, priests, producers, and things don't go the way she planned, but then something happens. She has a chance meeting with Federico Fellini, and this encounter basically changes her life.
So it's basically a through line of your adventures.
It is a through line of my adventures, and the third act in the solo show is what the character wanted to do. She doesn't, it's hard to explain the third act because it's not my life.
Okay.
It's my life, but what I wanted it to be. And then at the end, she realizes that she didn't want any of that.
I love this dress. I love it.
This is an incredible picture, a photo taken by Kate Younger. And this was for the Eden magazine. I am a contributing writer for this magazine, and I am also the editor of the feature piece and a couple of the other pieces. And the woman, Miriam Morrison, who owns the magazine and editor-in-chief, I've been working with her for several years. There was a segment there was an interview for Gina Lollobrigida that I did. I interviewed Gina, and Gina was on the cover. And it coincided with, I won the Valley Theater Award for Best Solo Show for The Italian and Me. And Miriam wanted to put a page in the magazine of me saying, congratulations to our writer, Dina, who won Valley Theater Award for her thing. And she was going to put a picture of me in there. And I said, Miriam, why don't we picture that's like a throwback to the Dolce Vita? And then you can put that picture in there. She said, okay, fine. And after we did the shoot, she said, I can't put this picture inside the magazine. This is going to be my cover next month.
Wow. Because
the pictures were so good. We did these pictures in the Pacific Palisades. It looks like Italy.
It does.
And so I said, but what am I going to put in the magazine? She said, well, we're not going to use these pictures. You can't use these pictures. And so then I wrote a piece called Remembering La Dolce Vita, but it has nothing to do with Italy or La Dolce Vita. It's a world before people sat with their iPhones and their tablets at desks, at restaurants, and we just actually talked to each other.
Real talk to each other.
Real talk. And that's so I ended up, in the end, I had to write a piece to, go with the picture. But the dress, I will have you know, is a dress I bought in Rome many years ago. And the
Beautiful.
cuffs you see are Kate. She's a designer, designer. And then the shoes I bought in Italy. The Vespa I got from the Vespa store in the Valley. And we put the whole look together.
It's just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Okay, Moose on the Loose. This must be the poster.
This is the poster for Moose on the Loose. The world premiere was at Theater West with a cast of 12 brilliant actors. Many were from Theater West. A few were not, but the cast was
Now, wait a minute. Look at what it says. I cannot tell a lie. Moose on the Loose is really funny and surprisingly moving. Mel Brooks?
Yes, Mel saw the show and gave me this wonderful quote that is very dear to me.
Wow.
He basically encapsulated what the play is about. That's it right there.
Now, did he just write that to you, or did he just come up?
No, what happened was he saw the show, and so I reached out and said, would you give me a quote? And he said, sure. And that's what he wrote.
Wow.
And it is a very funny play, a family comedy with 12 people, and it's 4 generations of an Italian family. So the grandparents and the parents are from Italy. The 4 children are born in Canada. So there's a whole communication breakdown. And then one of the daughters has her child, the young Timothy, and he is the great-grandson of the grandparents. So there's 4 generations of a family.
Why are there chickens on this one?
Because the play starts out with her and a chicken.
Right. I like how the countries color the flag. You're like the white.
I'm the white. They are that was the brilliant concept. And I wish I could give the person credit. I can't remember if it was Doug Haverty or Giovanna Bologna. Somebody came up with that concept. It might have been Doug Haverty.
Well,
the chickens and eggs, there's a whole ovulation theme in this piece.
Okay. Well, I'm also looking at the quotes. I see another Mel Brooks, yeah. Norman Jewison,
Doris Roberts.
Oh, really? Where? Oh, yeah, there it is.
Doris Roberts, yeah.
Wow.
Doris Roberts' quote was probably the craziest quote I've ever gotten, because I asked her for a quote, and this she said to me over a dinner at a restaurant. She had come to see my show through a friend of mine, Maria Elena Infantino, who's a singer and a performer. And Maria Elena brought her to see the show. And then I saw her at a restaurant. Maria Elena was singing at vibrato. And Doris Roberts said this to me. And I said, can I use that quote? And she said, yes.
Wow. So did this one premiere at Theater West as well?
This one was workshopped at Theater West. That's where I developed it. And then it premiered at a place called, because I couldn't do it at Theater West at the time. We weren't set up to do this kind of stuff. It was, that's just not how Theater West was set up when I did the show originally. It was at the Globe Theater, which is now the Masha Theater, which is now something else on Kings Road.
And you got an award, Valley Theater?
This is the Valley Theater Award in 2018 for Best One Person Show.
Portraits. Now this looks interesting.
Yes. Okay. So several years ago, I thought there was a need at Theater West to do a solo series. So several years ago, I produced the very first solo series. It was just a Sunday night solo series, and Lee Merriweather was in it. Jim Beaver was in it. Steve Neville was in it with his show about Jimmy Stewart, Cress Mirsky, Anthony Gruppuzzo, and Abbott Alexander and myself. I mean, an incredible lineup of solo performers. And it was very successful. And then years later, two of the artistic board members, Don Moore and Gary Kluger, decided to put up another solo series, and they called it Portraits of Humanity, a solo series. And I was in that one. And then a year and a half ago, I decided to mount the Portraits of Humanity 2 to keep this theme going, a series of one-person shows. And so I had all of these people come together to be in the solo shows at Theater West. And we did them, you know, once a weekend.
Yeah, so it was one show a week, or did they
it was one show a weekend. I think a couple of times we had two shows on the weekends. Yes.
Okay, very cool. And it gives a lot of actors an instance to show off their either own works or their individual talents, and I love that. Now, is the moose an actual human in the play?
The moose is a character in the play, and in this particular picture, you'll see John Seigan. God bless him and may he rest in peace. John Seigan was the lead actor playing Giuseppe, the Italian father in the play. Brilliant actor. Brilliant. And Eric Allen Kramer he's done a lot of TV, a lot of movies. Eric plays the moose. Now the moose is a character, but he is a character that you say to yourself, is he really for real or is he not for real? He is like the narrator in our town. He narrates, the play starts with him narrating. He gives you the lay of the land of where this moose country is and tells you a little bit about the moose.
How fun. Love the picture too. Nice job. Okay, the HPA Awards.
This is one of the several awards shows that I am an announcer for. And the HPA Awards honors all people that work in post-production. So color grading, visual effects, editing, all sound. And it's an annual, I've been doing it for years now. They just did it this year. It was all virtual. So I recorded all of my stuff and they did a wonderful virtual show online.
Now, is this something the general public can see or no?
No, this year you can see it online, but generally most of the shows are you have to be present for them. They do record them as archival videos.
And where is this? Local?
This is local. This particular show's at the Skirball Center.
Oh.
But I do other shows at different venues. And okay, this is just an incredible picture. This was the cast of, there's one character missing. You'll see he's the moose. The moose is not in this. And I want to say that he's probably cut off in the picture at the end because I see there's somebody there. And it's too bad he didn't make it into the picture. But this was at a theater in Canada. My play got picked up in a couple theaters in Canada. This was Magnus Theater with an incredible cast. Just incredible.
Looks great. Wow. Oh.
And this was another Canadian production of Moose on the Loose. This was at the Sudbury Theatre Center, and another incredible production.
So your play is produced everywhere, it sounds like.
It's produced. I was hoping, because of the pandemic, of course, it changed everything. I was hoping to get it into a couple of other theaters this next coming year, but now everything's been put off. I was in the process as the pandemic was about to hit, the process of trying to get it to Toronto, to the big city, to a theater there. And that, of course, we don't know what the state of all that is going to be now. From an Italian magazine, and I gave this to you because I was in a movie with Alain Delon, and a lot of people don't know who Alain Delon is, but he's a very famous French heartthrob actor from another era. And
what does that say? What is it?
For 9 minutes, Alain Delon loved me like this. Please, that's not the art. I was playing an American woman giving birth in a clinic, international clinic in Italy. And he was my French doctor. It was it's French, Belgian, Italian, American co-production. And so I played this American woman who's being treated by Alain Delon, and I give birth. There's a bunch of other pictures I didn't send you where she's giving birth and whatever. But he's a heartthrob. And I put it in here because sometimes when I mention Alain Delon, people go, it's sad because until somebody dies, people don't realize who somebody is. And he's still alive. And people come forward, and when someone dies and they go, look at Alain Delon, he was the biggest heartthrob. He did all these movies with, Visconti and the big French directors. And I thought, I'm going to put this picture in there because this was a real highlight of my life, getting to work with him and getting to be a pregnant woman because I never had children. I gave birth in a movie.
There you go.
This was at the ACE Awards, the American Cinema Editors Awards, the ACE Eddies at the Beverly Hilton. It's an annual show, and I've been doing the announcing for this awards show for about 15 years, maybe.
Really? Good for you. Would you start when you were 12?
I was very young, exactly. My voice hadn't changed yet when they hired me.
Beautiful. Okay. Oh, I love this. This is our last picture.
This is Kate Younger is a accessory designer, but she's also an amazing photographer. I modeled for her for a long time, doing these cuffs that she makes, and they're these beautiful cuffs. She does other jewelry, but this is her main thing. And we went downtown, as you can see in the background, Disney Hall, and found this incredible.
Where is that?
There's Disney Hall in the background. You see by that blue building, there's another silver building. That's Disney Hall. So we're right downtown. And I've got great pictures that Kate has taken, so many.
Interesting. Wow. So modeling, acting, writing, producing,
voiceover,
theater running. I bet you make cookies and do laundry. No, just kidding.
Well, I do. I actually cook a lot of it. This whole pandemic, I have cooked everything. We don't go out to restaurants, and I've made all the food, Italian food, lasagna, food that I make, pastas and salads and
We gotta compare spaghetti sauces because I'm 100% Sicilian. So
Okay, we'll have to compare spaghetti. Tomato sauce.
okay, now this we'll do real quick. We'll do these are your this is your website. Looks like you're promoting all your shows.
They're both my shows are on my homepage because when I first created my website, I just had it myself, and then people didn't know what, so I just give it all to them. I'm like, you can either go, if I'm doing my solo show, you can go to Italian and Me, see what it's about.
Look at this. I love this.
Yeah.
It looks like you're on a cover of another edition of Eden.
That was before I started working with the Eden magazine. I was on the cover of the magazine where there was about me.
Okay, I just clicked your acting. Ooh, nice headshots. Oh, I love the lawyer look here.
Yeah, you see the glam shots I was talking about?
Yep.
All the glam shots. I'm like, but I like the ones like this one here, like the one with the cup. She has no makeup on.
Look at this one right here. So, you could double for Betsy DeVos.
I could, absolutely. I could double for a lot of different people.
When they do her life story, you could be her.
I could, the same glasses.
Tell you. That's good though. You've got a bunch of different looks. You've got, nothing's better for an actor than to be able to, get a role and then switch into something that like, that's you. And like, it's amazing.
Lorenzo, that's why I love doing my One Woman, because I can be all these different characters. And I found that that's where my comfort zone is just being who I am. Wow. These are all beautiful pictures. A lot of them that Kate took. They are.
Look at this one. Are you a Bond girl right here?
I guess you could say I am. But see what beautiful pictures she's taken. These are incredible photos.
All right. This is a website for the play itself, right?
This is for the play itself because the play was supposed to go to Canada a few years ago, and then it was supposed to open October the 2nd here at Theatre West. We were supposed to, and because of the pandemic, it didn't happen. So the Moose needs its own website because it needs to have everything available. But there's wonderful reviews for this show. It's just incredible reviews and great pictures.
Okay, when you put it up locally again here in Los Angeles, please let me know. I'd love to come see it. So.
Well, you'll be there opening night. You probably would have been there opening night this time, October, but we all know what happened.
Right. Okay, so now this is Theatre West's homepage.
This is Theatre West's brand new website. We had a website for a long time, and during this pandemic, I helped put this together with our webmaster, Glenn Ewing, and we put this website together. I'm very proud of it because it shows so many great photos as our opening page of how we are as a theater company.
Yeah, and Lee Merriweather's in here, and I think Bo Bridges is in here.
Bo Bridges, and oh gosh, there's so many great actors in there. And this is something I want to talk about this. The storybook image that you were just on. During this pandemic, what we did was we have 6 storybook shows, classic children's plays that were packaged together as a launch of shows that children can see at home. They're professionally produced, professionally done, so that you put them in and there's an audience in the show. So your children will feel like they are a part of this interactive play. And the Department of Cultural Affairs was wonderful and generous with us to give us money to be able to do this. So David Johnson, the actor you see here, he created this wonderful trailer that you click on our website, and it's a cute little video with butterflies and candy canes dropping down, and it brings you to the 6 plays. It's really incredible.
I've seen this play. I think David's amazing. I think there's Anthony, right?
Yes, there's Anthony in that.
There he is. And did I see Kristen?
Kristen was in The Ugly Duckling.
Yes.
She's in the picture of The Ugly Duckling, actually. There she is, right there.
There she is, yeah.
And Heather and Kathy.
Wow. Okay, so when the world gets back to whenever it gets back, this is definitely a theater company that's worth checking out. I've seen a lot of premieres there, and you guys make it fun. The premieres of the shows are fun to go to. You get to talk to the actors after the show and the writers and the directors. It's really very interactive. Okay, this, I believe, is your trailer.
Oh, yes.
Um,
The volume.
All I did was ask my grandmother, best known as me, from Isaka, that's like an offer in Italian. And now I have my finger up from my very first Italian agent. Now, don't see in Italian. It's pronto. And although it isn't true, it can't be.
Yes, I forgot what's in my video.
oh, that's okay.
I did say it's an adult show. Yeah.
You did say it was an adult show.
But the Moose doesn't have any dialogue in it. In the Moose trailer, here's the storybook trailer. And
you're talking about this right here?
Yes, if you push play on that, you can see the cute little video for children.
How cute.
Yeah, it's adorable.
Now,
yeah, it's wonderful. It's just a wonderful, and then it goes right into the shows. So you'll have to,
oh, it plays them one after the other?
Goes right into the next show. Yeah. So you basically just stop. Otherwise,
Okay.
I think it'll do it. And then Moose on the Loose doesn't have any dialogue. It's all, you'll see. It's very
All
fun.
right. Here we go. Moose on the Loose. Here we go.
Una volta non sapeva una gallinella ma tanto bene. Non ho legato, l'ho abituato, senza fine l'ho accomunata. E la vergogna, la poveretta che ripetisce dove è scappata. Sospirando per ogni via la va cercando. Dov'è, la gallinella? Dov'è? La cresciuta musichetta ogni giorno parecchio bene e mi trovo occhi che mi guardava come mamava e mi saputo senza di dire che tu vada sta vita mia e tua di pigliare a tutti sangue come lavo dov'è alla lunella dov'è mi dice fuori che la gallinella non si ricolla la casa la sanno mangiata più pure tutta regina di macaroni mio spagianto di parole che la morte si ricorda e tua di pigliare a tutti sangue una lava dov'è alla gallinella dov'è
Wow. How fun is that?
I just got so emotional watching that.
Oh my God. No, and I'm thinking of my aunts and my grandparents. It's all hands and hey,
A lot of gestures. Yeah. I got emotional for a couple of reasons. John Seigan, was the father in that piece, who was absolutely brilliant, is no longer with us. He passed away a few years ago, too young.
Oh.
And
Is that the Theater West cast?
That was the Theater West cast. And I also got emotional because I know how funny and heartfelt it is. And we were supposed to go off, October 2nd with a different cast. There's going to be obviously someone who's playing John's part and a couple of other people in the cast, but it's really sad. So,
wow.
But yeah, the trailer is very funny with that music. And it's actually my cousins from Calabria, or they're in a band, and that's like an old folk Italian song, and they're performing it. And so I used his music, and it's in the play as well.
I don't know if you saw me. I'm bouncing around here. Anyway. Okay, so real quick, how has Theater West adapted to the pandemic? What's going on?
Good question. How we've adapted. Well, we had a play that was running. Our Man in Santiago opened on the 13th of March and closed on the 15th of March. So they did 2 performances, and we're waiting to get back so we can put that play up. Mark Wilding wrote it, and it's a really wonderful play. So we've been waiting since we can't go back. We created a few storytelling events that we did, and they were posted online. And we're creating a festival of new works that will be going up in February. And we've been working in our workshops every week, bringing in these 10-minute plays for this festival. So we've been very busy. Our Monday night actors workshop continues on Zoom. Our writers workshop is busier than it's ever been at Theater West, because everybody can just come on board now with Zoom. And plus we're having this festival. The only workshop we've not been able to continue is the musical comedy because of the, accompanist, and that makes it a little complicated. And then our Shakespeare's continued even bigger and better. And they're doing Much Ado About Nothing. They were preparing that last year to run this year. And they're still working on that. And Michael Van Duzer's working on other Shakespeare projects with Nick McDowell, who's the moderator. So these workshops are busy during the pandemic. We've actually been creating. We also have.
And all of this stuff is on your website?
The 2 shows canceled and escaped that we did were stories. It was storytelling. It wasn't acting scenes. Those are on our website. We were a part of the LA theater. There's a bunch of theaters in Los Angeles. Here, I'll just make sure so that I give you the correct name of it. Her show was called First Impressions, Second Chances, and written by Ashley Taylor. And it was presented by the LA, a virtual stage festival, Together LA. So we're a part of that. That happened during the pandemic. We also did the 6 storybook shows. That was all put together. David did all that during the pandemic. We're creating the festival that we're creating in the new year is called Change. I forgot to mention the name of the show. That we also created a diversity committee at Theater West that Kiara Milliner and Michael Van Duzer have put together, and they're creating a show called Fitting Out. And that is going to play in February. So they've been working on that. We're also doing Black History Month storytelling with African-American storytellers from Theater West telling 10-minute stories. And what else are we doing? Let me see. There's, I guess.
And this is all virtual, kind of the Zoom.
Everything's going to be virtual till we are back. Yeah.
Okay. So somebody watching the show, say they wanted to be an actress, say they want to say, hey, I want to write, say I want to do my own show. What advice would you give to somebody who's watching you right now, or watching this interview and saying, you know what, she did it. I think I'm going to try it. What words of wisdom can you pass along?
Wow. As far as doing a one-person show, I think you need to just start writing. What story can you tell that's different than the story that somebody else is telling? We all have our own story. And I guess how you put it together, how you tell that story is going to make it unique. But your story is unique anyway, because no one else can tell your story. So the one thing I would tell somebody who says, I don't know, I'm thinking of doing a one-person show, is really write your stories. And the thing that I realize in my life is we have stories that we tell over and over again, our sort of go-to, especially if it's your first one-person show. If it's you've been writing, then you come up with different ideas of things to say. But if it's your first one-person show, we all have stories that we tell. They're our go-to stories. If you think about that, you go, what kind of stories do I tell that really people laugh at or people are moved by? That's the story I want to tell. And you start with that and just start writing a short story. And then I encourage people to become a part of a group. You become a part of something like Theater West, where you have a writer's workshop on Tuesday night, and you can bring that up. You can bring it up on a Monday night. You work on it, you workshop it, you work on it on your own. You go to the theater when it's dark, like I do, and you just sit there in a dark theater and work on your material. You pretend there's an audience there in the dark. You just work on your material. And so I think it's important to be a part of a group because you want other people to hear your work. You want to feel how it feels to hear other people listening to your writing, whether they're reacting to it in a positive way or a negative way. You want to take all that critique and you want to work with it. So that's the first thing is to just figure out, we all have a story and a voice, write that down. Then just keep writing those stories, but make sure you get them in front of people.
And that's for feedback, right? That's for feedback and that's for feedback and massaging the work and making it.
You will feedback and massaging it, and also really taking critique and listening to it. I used to just read my stories to my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, but I used to read him all my stories, and he used to say, I'm one person. You've got to get these in front of an audience. You've got to get these up. You've got to get these in front of people. And I was like, oh, I'm so nervous. And he encouraged me to get them up because he said, I can only give you so much critique. You need to feel what people, if after you read something, everybody's just quiet and no one says anything, it can mean one of two things. Either they were so moved by it that they just are stunned, they don't know what to say, or they don't know what to say because maybe you didn't capture them with your piece, or maybe they don't want to say something that's going to hurt you.
Right, but you got to take the criticism seriously sometimes. Where, hey, I wanted to get this emotion, but I didn't get it. They're telling me, maybe if you tried, that kind of thing.
You want to hear. This is how I put it. You want to hear what everybody has to say, even if they're not writers, because when you perform your show on your world premiere night, you are not performing for 100 writers. You're performing for everybody, and so they're going to walk away from it saying they hated it. People are going to walk away from it saying it was okay. People are going to walk away from saying she was brilliant. People are going to walk away from it saying, I've seen better. People are going to walk away from saying you're the pick of the week. So when you perform your show in the end at an opening night, you are performing for everybody and anybody. So when you go to a writer's workout, you want to take critique. I mean, it's important to get critique from the professional writers, because they're seeing structure, they're seeing things that might not be working, but you want to hear what everybody has to say. So when we do critiques, I always say whatever you want to say. I don't care what you have to say, good or bad.
So in closing, is there any final words you want to give out to the audience?
No, I just want to thank you for doing this, because during this time of a pandemic where people are not able to perform, it's really wonderful to see how you've created this and this magic that you're creating. But it's also wonderful for you to keep it going once the pandemic is over, because one of the things lacking to me in Los Angeles as far as theater are platforms like this, where they actually take the time to get to know playwrights and performers, because you can only promote your show so much in Los Angeles unless you're spending a lot of money to take an ad out. But if people don't know who you are, they're not going to come see your show. They don't know anything about you. And I encourage, this has just been wonderful that you've done this.
Thank you. I mean, what the joy for me is learning. Every episode for me has been a learning experience. So, and the different perspectives from different actors or different writers and directors, and watching your clips and seeing your pictures, it's like it involves the viewer, I think, into whatever it is you're doing. and kind of makes me want to see it that much more. You know, it makes me want to, you know, I want to go dance with that, you know, the Italian song, and I want to see the One Woman Show with all those dirty words. But
I forgot about that. I forgot about the way that what's in that trailer because my work. So I just go, yeah. But anyway. I did say it was adult earlier.
Yeah, it's a great trailer. It's a great trailer.
Yeah. But you know, I did want to say something about the interviews. There is when people see an interview or they hear an excerpt from your show, the viewer or the listener, if it's radio, if it's a blog, you're giving them something like a nugget. You're giving them a little crumb. You're giving them a little bit of the icing from the top of the cake. Makes them want to eat a piece, you know? And without that, they don't have a clue who you are. And I was mentioning it to you earlier, there's a show, I did my One Woman Show, I was being interviewed on a radio, and the people just heard me talking about my show, and I did a character. Just from listening to it, they came and ate to see my show from very far from Rancho Cucamonga. That's very far from Theater West, which is near Universal Studios, to see a show they didn't know anything about, but they learned something about me. And so doing this is very important. The reviews are great once people read the reviews, if they can get to the reviews, but before is very important.
Absolutely. I totally agree. So every time you put up a show, contact me. We'll talk.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dina Morrone, I appreciate so much you're doing this for me. This is wonderful insight. You're funny, you're charming. We all know you're beautiful. We've seen your pictures. They're amazing. With and without makeup. It's like you're cursed with beauty. So
it's the Italian in me. The Italian in me.
Italian. I wish I had that problem. But anyway, thank you so much for doing this. This is a great opportunity. Again, all her information, she sent me a bunch of links for all the stuff we saw. It's all going to be below and whatnot, so you can click on it and check them all out yourself. Please do, because like I said, the trailer alone is hysterical. Not to mention her website, and her shows have their own website. Everything has a website. My Salt Shaker has a website. So anyway, but thank you again for watching. Please check out my other shows. The other ones I have, of course, where we talk about different kinds of topics and subjects, like we've talked about Space 1999, a 1970 series, the closing of Disneyland, and California Adventure over the pandemic, all kinds of fun stuff. I have my Unboxing the Geek Authority, which I show you products that I actually get shipped to me, delivered, open up for the first time. You see them, I see them for the first time. My reactions are really honest because, you know, it's nothing like opening up something new for the first time. I also have the show called Mysterious Chamber of Collectibles, where, being the age I am, I've collected so much over time, and I kind of open my closet and look under my bed, and there's all kinds of fun stuff. Again, I appreciate everybody who's watching. Dina, thank you again so much. You were amazing. I'm going to watch this myself like 3 or 4 times.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, Lorenzo.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's say bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Bye, everyone. Bye. Live theater lives, even during the pandemic.